Emotional intelligence, EQ. How to learn to manage your emotions. A comprehensive psychological analysis. Emotional intelligence, often abbreviated as EQ, has become one of the most discussed psychological constructs of the last several decades. It is referenced in business books, relationship advice, therapy settings, and parenting discussions. Yet, despite its popularity, many people still misunderstand what EQ actually is. Some believe it means being nice, others assume it is a natural gift that some possess and others do not, and some reduce it to not showing emotions. All of these interpretations distort the essence of emotional intelligence. At its core, emotional intelligence is the ability to understand your feelings and the feelings of others, regulate your emotional responses, and use this understanding to guide your actions in a healthy way. High EQ is not about suppressing emotions but about managing them intelligently. This topic is essential because emotional intelligence directly influences how we react to stress, solve conflicts, communicate with partners, raise children, and navigate professional environments. A person with developed EQ does not avoid negative emotions. They can experience frustration, fear, anger, or disappointment, but they understand what these emotions signal and make choices that support long-term goals rather than short-term impulses. In this analysis, we will break down the psychological foundations of EQ, explore its internal components, self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills, analyze the mechanisms behind emotional reactions, and provide practical tools and exercises that help develop emotional intelligence in everyday life. Main Analysis 1. What emotional intelligence actually is? Emotional intelligence is a combination of cognitive and emotional abilities that allow a person to understand, interpret, and regulate their own and others' emotions. Unlike classical intelligence, IQ, which focuses on analytical and logical tasks, EQ deals with the psychological processes that occur inside people and between people. In well-known psychological models, emotional intelligence includes 4 core components. Self-awareness, the ability to understand one's own emotions, recognize their triggers, intensity, and influence on behavior. Self-regulation, the ability to manage one's emotional responses without suppressing them. Empathy, understanding the emotional states of others. Social skills, the ability to communicate effectively, de-escalate conflict, and build healthy relationships. These pillars are interconnected. You cannot regulate emotions you don't notice, and you cannot understand others if you don't understand yourself. EQ is not fixed. Unlike temperament or some cognitive abilities, emotional intelligence can be practiced and strengthened, much like a muscle. 2. The psychological mechanisms behind emotions. To understand how EQ works, we must analyze how emotions arise psychologically. 2.1. Emotions as signals. Every emotion is an internal signal that reflects a need, a threat, a boundary, or an unprocessed past experience. For example, anger signals a boundary violation or blocked need. Fear signals danger or uncertainty. Sadness signals loss or unfulfilled expectations. Guilt signals responsibility or regret. Shame signals fear of social rejection. Understanding emotions as signals shifts the focus from "I must get rid of this feeling" to "what is this emotion trying to tell me?" 2.2. Automatic emotional patterns. Most emotions arise automatically, formed through early experiences, learned behavioral responses, defense mechanisms, unconscious assumptions. For example, a child who grew up in a household where showing emotions was punished may automatically suppress feelings, later struggling with self-awareness. Another child raised in unpredictable environments may develop heightened anxiety and hypervigilance as default emotional states. 2.3. The role of thoughts and beliefs. Cognitive psychology emphasizes that emotions are shaped by interpretations, not by events themselves. For example, "My colleague didn't reply to my message" leads to different emotions depending on the interpretation. "He's ignoring me" irritation. "He's busy" calm. "I must have done something wrong" guilt or anxiety. Thus, EQ includes the ability to question internal interpretations and separate facts from assumptions. 3. Component 1. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is the core of emotional intelligence. It means the ability to recognize what you feel, why you feel it, how it influences your behavior. 3.1. Why self-awareness is difficult. People often mislabel or suppress their feelings. Common psychological reasons include childhood conditioning: "Don't cry, Don't be angry, fear of conflict, desire to appear strong, lack of emotional vocabulary, avoidance of discomfort. This leads to emotion blindness, reacting without understanding the internal cause. 3.2. Internal processes of self-awareness. Self-awareness involves noticing bodily reactions, tension, heart rate, muscle tightness, identifying primary emotions before they turn into secondary ones. For example, anger may conceal fear or hurt. Recognizing patterns of emotional triggers. Understanding personal needs behind emotions. 3.3. Everyday example. Imagine a person gets irritated when their partner is late. At the surface level, it looks like frustration. But deeper analysis may reveal fear of being undervalued, memories of past abandonment, need for predictability, insecurity in the relationship. Without self-awareness, the irritation escalates into conflict. With self-awareness, the person can communicate the underlying need more calmly. 4. Component 2. Self-regulation. Self-regulation means managing emotional reactions so that they serve long-term goals rather than impulsive responses. Important. Self-regulation. Suppression. Suppression creates internal tension, emotional overload, and later explosive reactions. 4.1. Mechanisms of self-regulation. Self-regulation includes pausing before reacting, naming emotions, reducing emotional intensity, choosing actions aligned with values instead of impulses. 4.2. Common obstacles. Overwhelming intensity of emotions, low tolerance for discomfort, learned behaviors, e.g., shouting, withdrawing, lack of internal boundaries, automatic negative thinking. 4.3. Example: a manager receives negative feedback from a superior. Low EQ reaction. Shutdown, defensiveness, blaming others. High EQ reaction. Recognizing discomfort, understanding the difference between feedback and personal attack, responding constructively. Self-regulation allows a person to act with intention, not reactivity. 5. Component 3. Empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and accurately interpret the emotions of others. It does not require agreement, only understanding. 5.1. Types of empathy. Cognitive empathy, intellectually understanding what the other person feels. Emotional empathy, feeling resonance with the person's emotional state. Compassionate empathy, a balanced form that includes understanding and desire to help without losing boundaries. 5.2. Why empathy matters. Empathy helps reduce conflict, improve communication, create trust, strengthen relationships, navigate social situations effectively. 5.3. Example: if a colleague reacts sharply, a low EQ person assumes hostility. A high EQ person considers context. Stress, fatigue, external problems. This doesn't excuse behavior but helps de-escalate reactions and choose more constructive communication. 6. Component 4. Social skills. Social skills refer to the ability to manage emotional interactions effectively. These include clear communication, active listening, conflict resolution, recognizing emotional climate, setting boundaries, influencing without manipulation. 6.1. Internal psychological processes. Social skills rely on theory of mind, understanding others' internal states, emotional prediction, if I say this, how will the person feel, self-regulation, empathy. 6.2. Example: during a disagreement, a person with high EQ listens without interrupting, reflects what they heard, expresses their needs clearly, suggests solutions instead of accusations. This is not about being soft. It is about being effective. 7. Common mistakes and misconceptions about EQ. EQ means not having negative emotions. No. EQ means understanding and managing them. EQ is about being agreeable. No. High EQ includes saying no, setting boundaries, and recognizing manipulation. EQ is innate. No. It can be developed at any age. EQ is for emotional people. No. EQ is a cognitive emotional skill valuable to everyone, including highly logical people. I can control emotions by suppressing them. Suppression increases stress and decreases self-awareness. Below is a structured set of exercises and strategies for developing each component of EQ. They are designed to be applied daily and do not require special preparation. 1. Developing self-awareness exercise 1. Emotional naming throughout the day. Pause and name what you feel using precise language, e.g. I'm frustrated because my plan was disrupted. I'm anxious because I'm uncertain about the outcome. I'm offended because my expectation for respect wasn't met. Naming emotions makes them less chaotic. Exercise 2. Emotional diary every day. Write. Situation, emotion, trigger, thought, need. This reveals patterns and repeating triggers. Exercise 3. Body scan. Take 1 minute to observe bodily sensations. Heaviness, tension, warmth, pressure. This helps detect emotions before they escalate. 2. Developing self-regulation exercise 1. The pause technique. When you feel a strong emotion, stop. Take 2 slow breaths. Name the emotion. Choose the action consciously. This breaks automatic reactions. Exercise 2. From emotion to need, ask yourself, what need is behind this emotion? Safety, respect, clarity, connection, predictability. Understanding the need reduces emotional intensity. Exercise 3. Cognitive reframing. Identify the thought fueling the emotion and ask, is this a fact or interpretation? What else could this mean? What would I think if I were calmer? This creates psychological flexibility. 3. Developing empathy exercise 1. Emotional guessing. When speaking with someone, mentally identify what they might be feeling, what need might be behind their emotion. You don't need to be perfect, the point is to stretch your emotional sensitivity. Exercise 2. Active listening during conversation. Don't interrupt, summarize what you heard, reflect emotions. Sounds like you're frustrated. This dramatically improves connection. Exercise 3. Perspective shifting. Ask yourself, how would this situation look from their point of view? What pressures or fears might they be experiencing? This expands emotional understanding. 4. Developing social skills exercise 1. Clear communication. Structure your communication as observation, facts, emotion, need, request. Example: yesterday you didn't respond, fact. I felt uncertain, emotion. I need clarity, need. Could you answer my messages within a few hours next time? Request. Exercise 2. Boundary setting. Use the formula: I'm not comfortable with X. I prefer Y. For example, I'm not comfortable discussing this topic now. I prefer to return to it later. Exercise 3. De-escalation. When conflict arises, lower your tone, slow your speech, acknowledge the other person's emotion. This reduces emotional tension in both participants. Conclusion: emotional intelligence is not a single skill but a complex psychological system that includes self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social competence. It combines internal work, understanding feelings and needs, with external skills, communicating, listening, managing conflict. EQ is neither a natural talent nor a personality trait, it is a trainable psychological ability. Developing EQ means learning to interpret emotions as signals, understand internal patterns and triggers, regulate reactions without suppressing them, understand others' emotional states, build healthy, respectful, and effective social interactions. The practical exercises listed above can significantly increase emotional intelligence when practiced consistently. With time, a person becomes less reactive, more thoughtful, more resilient, and better equipped to handle both internal and external challenges. EQ is not about perfection, it is about awareness, intention, and psychological maturity.